This segment is sponsored by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife. All right, welcome back, everyone. You can call us here at 737-7767. We'll be glad to answer any phone calls that you might have or any questions you might have. Just call us up, and we'll be glad to help you till those calls start coming in. Now, Peyton, what you offer is a Facebook/website for people to go to where they can find and locate a handler and a hound.
Yes, sir.
That could help them out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how long have you been doing this?
This is going on. This coming up deer season will be the 4th deer season.
Okay.
That we've
Is
done
it increasing as from when you started? Is it continually going up and up?
It's it goes both ways, because at first Clint was one of the very first guys that got on with me that was like, he was willing to go anywhere and everywhere to make sure that people were finding their deer, and he was really big in getting it going as far as like a main handler and a dog team that would go out. But I guess what got more, where it didn't seem like as much as we got more dogs and handler teams on the list,
right,
where it spread out the workload, I guess. And so yes, there's been more call-ins, but we also have more teams out working the field. So,
does weather affect a lot as far as the handler and the dog? I mean,
I would say so. I mean, like we talked about rain and stuff like that. I mean,
high wind conditions, does that hurt?
It can.
It can also help.
Yeah, I was gonna say it can help too, because that can help a dog winded, or if it's downwind of the deer, which you hope. But
in your Facebook page and website, you're constantly trying to pair people up.
Mm-hmm.
Who's available? I mean, because let's face it, if it was in Rutherford County and you were already on one, we need to get somebody else out there. You know,
that happens a lot.
Is time of the essence? Is what I'm trying to say for our hunters to know. Is timing very, very important?
Timing's important. One thing that a lot of hunters don't know that's very important is if you feel like you made a bad shot, which a lot of hunters don't like to admit to that.
Yeah.
You should back out or not even start tracking up the track, because that's going to make it harder for the dog and the handler once they get there.
So we need to, as hunters, be more honest with ourselves.
Yeah. I have plenty of guys that I've tracked for, and they'll say that they made a good shot, and then you find the deer and it's a foot back from where.
If you want me to bring an expert in, I got Mike Flowers over here. He can tell you about what's a good shot, what's a bad shot.
But yeah, I mean, there's a little more honesty from the hunter, especially I know trackers, they have kind of an interview they do when the hunter calls them. They'll say, do you even have first blood at the shot site? Do you have last blood? What was it looking like? Was it big splotches and then no blood?
Right, and all that. Yeah.
And all that matters to a handler and a dog.
Like, we've got some callers here, because I want to ask, like, you got some things like there's a liver shot that's really dark maroon looking blood, and then you got flesh wounds that are crimson red, real bright red, and then you got arterial blood, which is a kind of a mixture, and then you got lung blood, which has little bubbles in it and froth. So to be an experienced hunter, you need to try to be more of an experienced hunter, so that you can allow the handler to know.
It helps.
Well, it does help.
It helps a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
The more clues we get, the better.
All right, we got some callers. Let's go with Monty. Monty, how can we help you tonight?
This is Monty.
Yes, sir.
I was just enjoying your show, and especially the part where it's talking about the dogs and the senses of dogs.
Yes, sir.
Keen sense they are. I've had shepherds, and they're my favorite dog, but what I want to comment about was not only the dogs have great senses, but the animals do. All the animals.
Oh, yeah.
From the deer to the bobcats to the coyotes, the foxes, you name it, whatever's out there, they have real sharp senses. that detects everything.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been a bow hunter education instructor and a hunter education instructor for a long time. A good friend of mine, Jeff Crutcher, that taught with me many years ago, said this: when you go into, and I'll throw this name out there, when you go into Krispy Kreme, what do you smell? Hot, fresh donuts, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when a dog walks in there, he smells 3 cups of flour, your stick of butter, and he could tell you every bit of the ingredients of it, you know, and the quantity of that. That's what the difference is between us being able to smell and what an animal can smell.
Absolutely. Exactly.
So when you think of it in those terms, it's like we're the worst sniffers in the world, you know, and yet we go, ooh, the body odor, you know? but we're the worst. The dog smelled it a week ago.
Right.
You know? So,
absolutely.
So,
I mean, it's just these wild animals. These wild animals are just as keen senses, or even more than our domestic dogs are.
You got it.
That's all I was going to comment about.
Well, we sure appreciate it very much, and thank you for that, Monty. And you are exactly right. Thank you, sir. We got Greg. Greg, how can we help you tonight? Greg?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
That's all right. How can we help you, Greg?
Yes, sir. I was calling. I was wondering how is it that people can have boats in the private marinas around the lake with no registration, but when you back a boat in the water, you're supposed to have your registration. How does that work?
Greg, that's a good question. And I'll tell you this much. We are in the process of trying to find out that very same answer to that same question. I've got some people that I called just today that are looking into it, and we want to know the same answer. I mean, you and I, as boat owners and fishermen, probably, I'm going to assume you fish, and we back our boats into a ramp. We better have our registration along with our numbers and the little sticker that says we're good through such and such date. Whereas there's people living on our waters in houseboats that still have 2001, 2002 registration stickers. And I'm like, why? Why, if I have to pay, don't they pay? I mean, it's not that much, really, but why aren't they having to pay? And I'm agreeing with you, but you're right. We're going to look into it. I've already contacted one person that's going to come be on the show about it, and we're in the process of contacting another fella that has really looked into this hot and heavy, and he is ready to talk about it. So,
good. I think it's a problem that needs to be addressed. We'll see you Saturday.
Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate you, brother.
See you.
All right, and we got Stuart. Stuart, how can we help you tonight?
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I used my wife's Jack Russell last October to track one of them deer I shot. My question on the property lines and everything, because sometimes them dogs don't read signs.
That
is a great question. What do you have to do about that?
In Tennessee, legally, you have to be on leash at all times with your dog. So if your dog is going up to the fence and you're on leash, you have to have the property owner's permission, direct permission to go on that property to finish tracking that deer. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to stop a track until you can get permission. That's just the way the law reads.
Well, you know, in the caller's got a viable question, right. And I didn't think about that till just now. But if you're hunting, say, a 50-acre tract, and you happen to shoot one, and you make a, you know, seemingly good shot, but it didn't wind up to be, and it crosses 3 people's farms.
You need 3 people's permission.
And that can take time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because what if those people aren't there?
It's sometimes you just have to stop a track, and it's sometimes it ends right there. Sometimes you can go back, 10 hours later.
Okay.
There is with some handlers there is a.
But is that the handler's responsibility? That's what
Absolutely.
I'm asking. Is that the handler's responsibility?
If I cross that fence, it's on me.
Well, I'm saying though, is it the handler's responsibility to go get the permission?
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if
that
I
should
cross,
be the hunter's permission, right?
But if I cross that line, I have to have that permission from the landowner.
let me ask you, Peyton, would you think it would be beneficial then for a hunter that knows he's on a limited acreage scale
Right.
to go ahead and get permission from area farmers or landowners to say, hey, if I happen to shoot one and make a bad judgment call or whatever?
Well, that goes back to kind of the interview process I was telling you about. When a hunter calls a handler, the handler asks certain questions. I mean, if I'm going to a track, somebody's calling me, I'm telling them, if you think it is gone down a couple tracts of land, go ahead and start calling them. Go ahead, because I'm not going to cross that line. I'm not going to risk me getting in trouble for you to find the deer, I guess.
No.
So I try to tell them beforehand, go ahead and get that permission and stuff before I even get out there, and then that way we just let the dog work.
I'd try to get it before season ever started.
Right. And that's a good thing.
You know, I would go to them, maybe help them out. You know, bring in a little tobacco or whatever.
Right.
You know,
And I had several tracks like that last year where they already had written permission in with them to cross the fence line.
Okay, here's the other question, guys, because some hunters have been told, and yes, it's true. If you do make a bad shot, but it was animals worth tracking and worth going after, and you think it's going to eventually die, that you can call your game warden. Your game warden can kind of smooth that out. But that's not true. That's not a game warden's job either.
Nope.
Right.
Yep, it's still completely up to the landowner.
Because that landowner tell the game warden, no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, because, I don't know, there's just certain things that we as hunters need to do beforehand. And we need to take that responsibility upon ourselves to do. And I think that this is a great way to do you have that on the Facebook saying stuff like that?
We do. We that along that same pinned post that I have that has that contact, what we call the handler dog roster on there.
Yeah.
It's got the laws for the state of Tennessee, so that any hunter that goes on there and looks, that's the first thing they see, and the handlers see it that I put on there. And then under that, there's a list of things that describes what a hunter should do within the time of, like, after shooting the deer and calling the handler, as in, like, mark the last blood. It can be dried up by the time we get there and we can't see it. And certain little things like that that can really help and raise the odds of finding that deer that they're calling for. So,
me, I have to. Well, I'll tell. I'm going to give you a tip here in just a minute. Let's do our tip of the week. This week's tip of the week is being brought to you by Davidson County Farmers Co-op. They're on Dickerson Road. And let me tell you something. I talked to Miss Laura the other day. She is ready for y'all to come in. We're going to be talking about food plots in the month of May. She and Beth are going to come, or maybe just Beth and somebody else. But two of the Davidson County Farmers Co-op employees are going to be here talking to you about your food plots, what you need to get them ready, and how the co-op can help you. So we appreciate Miss Laura Trammell for that. Let me give you this week's tip. Guys, suck it up. We're going to have to suck it up. Women are better blood trailers than men. I know it hurts your ego, but listen. You need to be nice to the lady. You need to be nice to your wife or your girlfriend, whatever, because they can help you find your deer, because it's a proven fact women can see red better than men.
there you go.
And so they can see blood better than men. And it's a proven fact. So guys, be nice to the girls. And you might have you a hunting partner for life, all right? That's this week's tip. Don't forget it, because she's going to make it miserable on you if you do. So, all right? We'll be right back with more Southern Woods and Waters.